In a stunning diplomatic turn of events, the African National Congress (ANC) has made a formal and emotional appeal to key members of the United States Democratic Party to intervene and halt impending sanctions targeting senior ANC leaders. This bold move comes after a wave of corruption allegations against high-ranking ANC officials triggered significant concern in Washington, leading to calls within the U.S. Congress for punitive action. According to diplomatic insiders, the ANC is deeply alarmed by recent developments in the U.S. Capitol, where several lawmakers, predominantly from the Republican side, are pushing for strict sanctions on South African officials allegedly involved in systemic corruption, money laundering, and misuse of public funds. The sanctions, which could include asset freezes, travel bans, and restrictions on international financial transactions, have sent shockwaves through the upper echelons of South Africa's ruling party. In a bid to soften the blow, the ANC leadership dispatched a high-level delegation to Washington, D.C., earlier this week, where they held closed-door meetings with prominent Democrats, including members of the Congressional Black Caucus. According to sources close to the matter, the ANC's argument hinges on historical solidarity between the U.S. democratic establishment and South Africa's liberation struggle against apartheid. Our appeal to the democratic leadership is not just political, it is historical and moral, said one senior ANC official, who asked to remain anonymous. The ANC has always aligned with progressive forces around the world. To sanction our leaders now would not only hurt our nation's democratic development but would feel like a betrayal of the values we once fought for together. The ANC delegation reportedly emphasized the importance of bilateral relations between South Africa and the United States, reminding democratic lawmakers of the role South Africa plays in regional peacekeeping, global diplomacy, and as a key member of BRICS, a global bloc increasingly at odds with Western foreign policy objectives. However, critics in the U.S. remain unconvinced. Republican lawmakers have doubled down on their position, citing credible investigative reports, whistleblower testimonies, and financial trails that allegedly link ANC figures to illicit enrichment schemes. This isn't about party politics. It's about justice and accountability, said Senator Rick DeMarco, one of the architects of the proposed sanctions bill. The ANC leadership has been complicit in the erosion of democratic institutions, and the American people will not support foreign governments engaged in blatant corruption. The sanctions threat comes at a time when the ANC is already struggling with internal divisions, public distrust, and a deteriorating economic climate. President Cyril Ramaphosa's administration is battling to maintain order amid rising unemployment, power grid failures, and scandals that continue to erode public faith in government institutions. The looming sanctions could not only damage the reputations of implicated individuals but also complicate South Africa's access to international aid, loans, and investment, particularly from American institutions. In their meetings, ANC delegates sought to assure democratic leaders that internal reforms are underway. They highlighted recent arrests, state capture inquiries, and the revival of long-dormant anti-corruption units as proof that the party is committed to cleaning up its image. "We are not ignoring the challenges," one ANC diplomat reportedly said. "But punishing us now will only embolden anti-democratic forces and jeopardize our fragile progress." Meanwhile, the democratic response has been mixed. Some lawmakers, especially those with roots in civil rights activism or a history of anti-apartheid solidarity, appear more sympathetic to the ANC's position. Others, however, are wary of being seen as defenders of corruption, especially in a high-stakes election year where foreign policy narratives are becoming increasingly important. "We recognize the ANC's historic contributions, but we cannot turn a blind eye to modern-day realities," said Congresswoman Lisa Howard, a senior Democrat on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. "If real reforms are underway, we need transparency, not just promises. This is not about diplomacy. This is about dodging justice," said the leader of one South African opposition party. "If they have nothing to hide, let the investigations continue without interference. As the diplomatic tug-of-war intensifies, the fate of the proposed U.S. sanctions hangs in the balance. Will the ANC's appeal to democratic allies succeed in shielding its leaders from punitive measures? Or will Washington press forward with a precedent-setting move that could redefine its relationship with one of Africa's most influential political movements?